G'day and welcome to episode 40 of A Down Under Yarn. Today is Wednesday the 2nd of October 2013 and I am your host Fiona, also known as Fifykins. If you find someone on the internet called Fifykins, it's probably me. So please feel free to look me up on Plurk, Twitter, Ninja, Instagram, Ravelry, wherever, and say g'day. Because I would love to say g'day back to you, even if I am a little behind in messaging on Ravelry especially. However, I think a lot of those are pattern updates that I haven't got to. So, but I have got to because I've been to my library and updated. But hey, whatever. I'm coming to you today from sunny Cairns, although the sun has gone in, clouds have rolled in. I got some dyeing finished this morning, so I'm quite happy. I am also, apart from hosting this podcast, which is A Down Under Yarn, I am the dyer behind Solar Flare Fibers. So I will get to that at the end of the podcast. So for those people who aren't interested in shop type stuff, that is fine. Welcome to new people. Welcome to old viewers. Welcome to everyone. It's been an interesting week. The kids have been away. They've been spending time down with their dad, and now actually they're spending time this week with my mum in Melbourne. And today apparently they're at the Royal Melbourne Show, so they're having lots of fun. Imogen sent me a photo of choc chip cookies, and she goes something along the lines of, wow, if these can get prizes at the show, I should enter cookies next year. She actually bakes wicked choc chip cookies, really, really good. Hey, it is my recipe, but still. It's actually Nigella's recipe that I kind of adapted for her, but still. So yeah, so that's kind of exciting, which is nice to get a positive message as well, because last week I got a few negative ones from her, but still. I went and planted some more veggies in my veggie garden, probably a bit late up here to be putting them in, but I got some more mature tomato plants, so one of them's already got tomatoes growing on it. In the last week. There was some flowers on last week, but now they've actually got tomatoes. I picked a couple of heirloom varieties, and also I put in an eggplant. I thought I'd picked up the Lebanese eggplant plant at the nursery, but no, I had not picked up a normal one, so it'll be interesting to see if they grow, because I know the Lebanese ones have much more success, pardon me, here. And I put in I put in a gooseberry bush. Not sure how that will go in Cairns. I know that in subtropical areas they grow really well. I tried to do a bit of reading. I sort of had my iPad out in the nursery. Nursery guy wasn't that helpful. So we'll wait and see. Probably going to put another garden bed in. I've got some raised garden beds for the veggies, just for drainage, mainly because we get lots and lots of rain here. Probably put another one in and see how we go. I've got sweet potatoes now in 2 raised garden beds because they're just amazing. We've got a huge crop of sweet potatoes this year earlier on, and I dug up the garden bed, got out most of the sweet potatoes. There were some little ones left, so I just threw them back in there. Mima was helping me. We found them in the grass, in the lawn. We've found them 1.5 meters away from the raised garden bed. Ninja, thank you. You're being lovely, but just sit. This is Ninja, who's the black lab, who's 2 going on 6 months. She acts a bit like that at times. We had some friends who used to live here who moved down south come to dinner on Sunday night, which was very nice. They've been back up here. I cooked an vegetarian Indian banquet, which was really, really yummy. And I also did a cake, a blood orange and almond cake, which would have been yummier if it hadn't stuck to the bundt tin that I tried to use. You know, the nice frilly tins. I thought I'd greased it enough, but obviously not. Although I gave the cake recipe to friends at the Paleo Cafe in Cairns, and they cooked it, and they said, "Oh, did yours have this eggy layer on the bottom?" I said, "There's this more moist layer." And they said, "Probably because of the hazelnut meal you use in there, and almond meal doesn't absorb the eggs as much." They said, "Do you have that? And did you have that?" And I said, "No, mine just stuck, so I wouldn't know." And they laughed. So yeah, so that was fun. Mimmel is on nights, which I hate. Only because I worry, and I'm a worrier, and yeah. But it's good. It means I've been getting up early, even though it's school holidays. I've been forced to get up early so I can go and catch up with him for breakfast, which has been quite pleasant. He Saturday nights on Monday night. So we've had 2 mornings of breakfast so far. He's had one really bad night and one really good night. So wait and see what the rest of the week brings. And yeah, it does mean though I've been getting quite a bit of knitting done because we usually catch up for lunch. I usually have to do a whole lot of errands each day, and I coincide them with catching up with him for lunch. So we've been catching up for breakfast. It means I've got the rest of the day. So today it meant I didn't have to go out until it's 3:45 now, and I went out at about 2:30. And yeah, so I've been able to get quite a bit done. Whatever you want to call it, stuff that I need to cover. Firstly, thanks to everyone for their lovely comments about the Yazi bags I reviewed last week. There is a thread up in the Ravelry board for a Down Under yarn for a giveaway. There now I have, I think, 8 or 9 bags that I'm going to give away. I am going to give away 4 bags this month. So you have another 3 weeks to enter the draw on the Ravelry board. To enter, all you have to do is share a tool or some yarn or something that helps you in your knitting. Someone recommended their favourite tea, which is great because I know me, I like to knit with a cup of tea as well. I would like to recommend a dog leash so that I could get... Okay, Ninja, here she is. She's saying hello. Okay. Hello, Ninja. Thank you. Okay. So please enter the draw to win that. The other thing that I have been able to do, seeing Minimal is on nights, is try and catch up with some podcasts. And I'm up to last week. So I feel that I've had a huge achievement because when I started, probably late last week actually, watching more and more that I could, I was about a month behind. So some I've had to mark as read or mark as viewed, but read through show notes, and I figure if I miss an episode and then see they're knitting something or doing something that I'd like to hear more about, I can go back and watch it later. So one of the things I caught up with was Katie from Knitting on the Fly, who was letting us know about PodFiber. Now, Hillary, who is Hippie Penguin, and her husband is a bit of a tech guru, and they have been trying to plan how to solve the dilemma that us podcasters are having about hosting of podcasts. Blip was hosting a lot of podcasts and has now said no. They've actually turned some people away. Others they have said, we're cancelling your account, we're still keeping you there. I'm not quite sure how it works. I was never nice enough, never pretty enough for Blip anyway. So their idea is to crowdsource or crowdfund a campaign that will raise $8,000, which will have enough server space for podcasts for 12 months. So they are doing a crowdfunding drive through a site called Indiegogo. It's called PodFiber, the project. There are 19 days left. $430 has been raised last time I looked, and the goal is $8,000. Now, even if the $8,000 isn't raised, the money that is there will go towards creating a community, a fibre community, the PodFiber community, which will allow podcasters to arrange get-togethers, to arrange meetups at different events. So all will not be lost. However, it would be great to reach the $8,000. Now, I know how awesome knitters are and how they are great at dipping into their pockets to help others. Now, this is going to be a free service. I, at the moment, pay $50 a month to Amazon to host my files. I have looked at other options and everything else I've looked at. This, because of the way our my hosts of my ISP hosts of the domains and the space operate, and the bandwidth that's required to transmit podcasts, this for me at the moment, doing it through that and an external WordPress site that is operated through that, hosting the files though on another server, that's still the cheapest way for me. If I was to get more WordPress storage, that'd be great, except that would then push my hosting fees up quite considerably. So that for me is the most economical way. $50 a month is a lot of money. I do this because I really enjoy doing it. I do it now also because of the business, so I do write that off. I can write that off as a business expense, but still, that's how much it's costing. So I'm thinking of other podcasters out there who don't do this for any sort of business, who I really enjoy watching. If you would like to see podcasts continue and be able to go onto iTunes so that you can look at them in your in any way. This dog is really annoying me today. If you would like to be able to download them through iTunes, then this is something you really should look at helping crowdsource. There are things you can get. So if you put $25 in, you get a t-shirt. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. I've put my money in to get a t-shirt, and also put extra money in so that I can be an inaugural person and make sure that I get Fifykins, because I don't want anyone else out there to steal my Fifykins. So that's something that I've been able to do. There are lots and lots of other things there, including sponsorships. So even if you want to speak to your local yarn store and say, hey, if you chip in a couple of $100 here, you're going to get some really good advertising. And think of all the fibre people who are going to come to it. So there is that. I'll have quite a bit about that in the show notes. This is not a typical crowdfunding exercise like what you get with what we have here is Possible. I can't remember the American version, which is, I just used it recently and got the candle, which I've been meaning to show, but I haven't. Might remember that for next week because it's inside. Whatever it is they set a target. So for instance, if the target isn't met, no one pays anything. This one you pay and the money goes there regardless. So it's a different form of crowdfunding. Really, really encourage you to go and have a look at that. The minimum thing to get a reward is $10. I think I'd speak for me, and I'd say that if you were thinking of buying a skein of yarn from me this week, I'd be happy if you went there and put the money into this project. It's how much I really, really value it. And if it does come off the ground, that would be just fantastic. So there you go. I suppose the other admin is something that will come up in the shop update, which I will put over here, which is the Aussie Yarning Knit Along. Just let me write that. I do have notes today. So I think that now leads me into the actual fibre content of this. How far in am I? 12 minutes. Okay. Again, I don't have any finished objects. Good-dong. I actually wrote FOs in my notes and put a big sad face. It's been weeks and weeks since I've had a finished object, and I'm aware of that. But I've had a bit of a cast-on palooza this week. Mystery palooza. It's just, I've been hooked. Absolutely hooked. So I have 3 whips. 2 of which are brand new, one of which I was working on last week, and that is my Stephen West Knit Along. If you have not finished Clue 3 or don't want to be surprised at what it's sort of looking like, even though mine's all scrunched up on needles, you might want to look away now. Last week, you may remember, I was partway through Clue 1. I think I was about halfway through Clue 1. I whizzed through that, finished that off Thursday night, cast on for Clue 2, which I finished on Saturday, and then on Sunday cast on for the 3rd clue, which I finished yesterday. So here is mine so far. Now this is scrunched up on needles, so I have no idea which way it's going. I'm assuming though it's going to be something like that, because unless we grow some wings from up here, that's unlikely to be a shawl. It's probably more like a cape, but still. I love this. I really, really do, because it's different, and I do like different things. I think I love the mystery of it. Not totally convinced by my yarn colours at the moment, but I think once the final clue comes out on Friday, I trust Stephen West enough to know that it will all come together. I'm knitting this in Solar Flare Fibres yarn. This is the Apollo base, which is 80% BFL, 20% Merino. The 3 colours I have, that's a fairly accurate representation. The orange, which is colour A, is burning orange. The silvery grey at the moment is called shades, but I'm thinking of renaming it Hi Ho. And the purple is People Eater. So they're the three colours so far. And it goes up here. I've got this on sort of 3 cables at the moment. So that sort of shows you the top there. I'm hoping we now mix the orange with a splash of the purple. So that's colour A and colour C. I think colour B is almost finished because of the yardage we've used. I've still got some left over. And depending on what the final clue is, I might use it to bind off just to draw things together because I really, really, really love this colour. I love the tonality of it. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful grey. So that's that. It's pretty big and it's just lots of fun. Hopefully next week I will have finished it, although I'm not sure how big the final clue is going to be. There's 600 odd stitches now around the edge, over 600 stitches, and if we are going to start knitting in the round, it's going to take a while. So, hey, not sure where that's going to go at all. The second mystery knit-along that I am taking part in is the Susanna IC mystery knit-along. Now, that Susanna IC is the designer behind the Annie, I think it's a knee shawl. That is it's always been one of the most popular patterns on Ravelry. If you look for popular patterns in lace weight, it's one of the top ones. It's a beaded lace shawl. I'm pretty sure it's actually knit bottom up. This one's knit top down. And I decided that I wanted to try out my Amaterasu base, which is my 80% merino, 20% silk in the lace weight. It's 800, I think it's 850 yards per 100 grams. Didn't write that bit down, and I should know, but it's around that. I should say the Apollo base, which I'm using here, per 100 grams is 400 yards. So I've got the 3 skeins there. And some of the leftovers are going into mini skeins. I'm sending some mini skeins off at the moment. I'm trying to get some together for knitting in the mitten, and also Highland on the fly, or knitting handmaids, or whatever they're going to call themselves, for their retreat as well. So if you're going to either of those, be on the lookout for some samples from Solar Flare Fibres. That is coming up. So I decided, the really, really funny thing is my really good friend Tess, who has been knitting along with me with the Stephen West, who got some of my yarn dyed up, messaged me this morning on Facebook and said, "Do you ever match your nail polish colour to your yarn?" And I just replied, maybe, because I went with teal nail polish last week because I was dyeing up some teal yarn. That's showing a bit more blue than it is. It's actually quite a bit greener than that. If I come in closer, there we go. That's not really focused, but it's a more accurate representation. This is my yarn caddy from Spinning Woody, which I picked up at Bendigo Sheep and Wool Festival. Whoops. And I call it Ewan because it's got hue and pine, and I just love Ewan McGregor, so I don't mind having Ewan snuggling up. Anyway, this is the start of this shawl again. If you don't want to be spoiled and are yet to start this, although I think most people seem to have finished, a lot of people seem to have finished this clue. I only cast this on yesterday. This is on 3.75mm needles for the lace weight, so it's going to produce a fairly open thing. That's the top there, got some beads on there, and now I'm doing some short rows. You can see down here where I have a stitch marker, got 2 stitch markers actually, that I'm using to distinguish where the short rows are. They go until you've only got a few stitches, and then you pick up your, I'm not doing wraps and turns, I do a weird short row. It's sort of a Japanese short row. I'll link it in the show notes. I call it, I can't remember what it's called now, but the lady has a YouTube video. Just a minute, I will tell you. It is, what do I call it? I call this the Luna Knits short row, because the lovely Luna Knits, who is Linda, has a YouTube video, which is where I learnt how to do this method of short row. I suppose the easy way to describe it is you knit to where you're going, and then where it says wrap and turn, you turn the work and you slip the first stitch and continue on. And you count, of course, count that stitch as part of your things. You end up with gaps. When you're going back to pick up the gaps, where you would pick up a wrap, you actually pick up the leg of the stitch before the gap, the slip stitch, and knit that together with the slip stitch, and it draws everything together. It's what I've used in when I've done the Rockefeller last year for Stephen West, and also the other one. It's got all the wedges, Spectra. Both those, and I really, really, really like the effect. Haven't done it on both knit and purl rows before, which is what I'm doing here, so that'll be interesting to see how that turns out. If it doesn't work out, I'll pick up another stitch and knit two together, or do something, make something up. I quite like short rows. I'm loving the feel of this, really am. I haven't done that much, so I've got to get moving on that. So that is the Susanna IC Autumn Mystery Knit Along, which is really a spring mystery knit along for us. So that is that one. The third one, I ummed about, and then thought, oh, you know, when you want to help a friend out and support a friend, and then you don't know, and then you just think, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, and I did it. I meant to say, with this one as well, the beads I'm using. I picked up these beads from Over the Rainbow, which I will again link in the show notes. They're meant to be a teal. They're much more greeny teal than what the yarn dyed up, but when I put them against the yarn, they really look quite pretty. So I'm doing that. I'm using my little 0.75mm crochet hook to get them on. I find the trick of getting beads on with a crochet hook. I'll just show you here. Okay. My trick to getting beads on is to put the bead on here, of course, put it in at 90 degrees, take it off at 90 degrees, and then slide the bead on. Then put it back. It stops the yarn from getting caught on the crochet hook and stops it from then splitting. It works for me. Hey, other people use other things. I know people use super floss, people use beading wire, all sorts of things. I prefer using crochet hook, but doing it at the 90 degrees. That's what works for me. So, sorry, on to my third one. And my good friend Melissa from Meltran Designs has a mystery sock for Sock It To Me October. Socktober. And I already have 1, 2, 3 pairs of socks on the needles, one of which has been on now for 12 months that I haven't picked up, which I really want to pick up. And I thought, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? And then I thought, why not? Just do it. So I signed up for that. And Clue 1 came out yesterday. Again, if you don't want to be spoiled, not that I'm very far in, you might want to look away. I wasn't sure what yarn I was going to use and asked Melissa for some advice, and she said really a semi-solid or solid colour would work well. And then I remembered I had this luscious yarn in my stash. This is from Skein. This is the top drawer sock. I had a ball winding mishap here, so I've got a little tail that I'm trying to push out of the way most of the time, but sometimes it dribbles down. This is the poppy colourway in the top drawer sock. Now the top drawer sock is 85% merino, 15% nylon. It is beautiful. It is so soft. It is a pleasure to work with, as is all Skein yarn. So I'm really, really glad to be using this, and I think it will probably encourage me to keep on going with these socks, because it seems like there's a bit of cabling, and I just need to learn to love the cable. Yeah, so this is a beautiful, beautiful deep red colour. When I get to my enabling section, I'll be able to show you something else, but that is this poppy. That's actually a fairly good representation. And here is where I'm at. I've done half of what the cuff is in the pattern. There is the cuff there. Is it going to focus? No. Well, you can see there's some ribbing there with a little bit of detail in there that is not being picked up. Oh, 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 it's thinking. It's thinking. Come on, you know you want to. Oh, there you go. No, no. I'm wasting your time. I'm sorry. Anyway, I did cast on two at a time and got so tangled up that I just pulled one of them off after about 3 rows because it was no way it was just going to happen. And pulling needles, and then when I pulled one needle and half the other sock came off, I just thought that's a sign, so I pulled it off altogether and unwound it and wound it back around here. So I'm doing these one at a time. I hope to get, if I don't knit both socks at the same time throughout the cowl, or throughout each week of the cowl, because the Stephen West will be finished soon, I'll work something out. And if I only get one sock knit, I only get one sock knit. I didn't mention in Australia, which I can mention here, in November and December. Now this is October, so November's next month. I'm having a special knit along, and it's going to be called This is the Year I'm Going To. This is the year I'm gonna, because in Australia we have a term which we call gunner disease. I'm gonna do that. I'm really gonna do that. And if you call someone a gunner, it means they're always saying they're going to do something and they don't usually do it. And I know myself, I had a set of goals at the start of the year, and I did mean to draw that up and say what I'd done, which I might remember to do next week. Let me write that down. Next week, 2013 goals. Okay, so we say we're going to do something. And for me, I think the thing that I was going to do this year was a colourwork hat, which hasn't happened yet. I did do a Milo, which has some colour work in it, and quite enjoyed that. But I still want to do this colourwork hat. So in November and December, I'm going to have This is the Year I'm Gonna knit along. And it might be that you're going to say, this is the year I'm going to end up with nothing on the needles at the end of the year. Or this is the year I'm going to try and knit the Advent scarf. Or this is the year I'm going to knit a hat for charity. Or this is the year I'm going to knit some washcloths for my colleagues at work. Whatever you're going to do, whatever you've been thinking of doing, we're going to do it in the last 2 months of this year. So that at least you'll be able to say, hey, I did it. So that's the aim. And for me, I'm hoping to do the colourwork hat, but I'm also hoping to finish off some of these socks that I've got on the needles, if I don't finish them off beforehand. I do have a lot of projects on the needles at the moment. I didn't get my hand-spun KAL project finished for Melissa's knit-along she had for 2 months. That's just sitting there. That's now in my purse knitting, because it's the most mindless of everything that I've got at the moment that I'm able to take with me, although I could do the short rows if I wanted to. So that's that. Spinning. I have some spinning. I went to Fiber Crafters last Friday. Hadn't been for ages because of one thing or another. I'd had sick kids and things that had been happening. I went and caught up with the lovely lady who's been teaching me to spin. She wasn't going, and she had the drum carder from the club at her place. So I went and caught up at her place, and we carded. I thought I'd carded the whole of the braid. I only had carded half of it, so I forgot I had the other half in my spinning bag. Anyway, this is Gotland fibre from Yarn vs Zombies. It is quite compressed like this, so I just felt it needed to be either drawn out, which I had been trying to do, but putting it through the drum carder, and we put it through we fluffed it out first and then put it through 3 times, made it quite nice. I wouldn't say it's my favourite fibre so far to spin with. It's a lovely soft fibre once you get going with it. You can see here I've been sort of pulling apart bits here, but at the same time, I don't know, there's just something I'm not quite liking about it. It's not the fibre, it's not nothing to do with Yarn vs Zombies or Kiki or anything like that. It's just the fibre. So I'm doing a bit of a hodgepodge with it. No idea how I'm going to apply it because I don't think I broke it in half evenly. I could see how much I've got on this bobbin so far and how much is there. I don't think that's half of it, but I don't think I actually broke it in half. It is quite thin in parts and has been breaking. So I was thinking of actually trying a Navajo ply with this, but if it's going to be thin and breaky, I probably don't want to be doing a Navajo ply. So no idea what I'm going to do. That's quite thick, and it's been resting there, but you can see it sort of twists upon itself like that, and that will be definitely a probably a worsted weight. Didn't get out my reps per inch tool to see what the singles are, but I can see in here, like there's some bits there that are quite thin, some bits there that are just not spun very well at all. So that's me. But I'm looking forward to the spinning hoo-ha that's coming up at the end of the month, where we're going to spin each day for a week. And I'm going to be part of that because I want to. And because I've got lots of stuff that I want to spin. And I do want to spin this, and I want to get this finished. So there we go. And it's nice. And it's a beautiful, beautiful colour. So I just need to do it. So that is that. We've got our Spinning Fiber Crafters AGM on Friday. I put my hand up for the magazine editor and website, which I'm happy to do, and they can't find a secretary and a treasurer, so I may end up taking on the secretary's job as well. I hate taking minutes with a passion, but then again I hate keeping books as well. So there we go, there's that. Acquisitions. I have a couple of acquisitions. I was lucky. I went to the post office yesterday afternoon to drop off a whole lot of parcels, and then forgot to pick up my mail. And there was a parcel waiting for me. And then today, there was another parcel waiting for me. So I got 2 parcels today, which is very exciting. The first was my Into the World shipment. I'm usually the last person on earth to get this, but if you're still waiting for your September club, oh wow, took away. This 3 months, we were asked to submit our geek-inspired pictures, and this colourway is called Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey, and it's based on a photo from Doctor Who of the TARDIS spinning. And I saw the photos, I saw the spoiler photos, and I thought, oh, that's pretty. And then I opened it out of the bag, and I went, oh, this is just drop dead gorgeous. Now, I put this always includes little cards that you can record stuff on, which I always put inside the bag. Are you ready? Because this is just amazing. I'm thinking I might even pull it out of the bag. Look at this. Just look at this. I'm in the Classic Club, and this is 100% superwash merino. I've only spun merino once before, and it was early on in my spinning career, which is not very lengthy at the moment, and it was interesting. This is just so beautiful, absolutely stunning. The colours are perfect. It's got the black in there from the space. It's got the blue of the TARDIS. It's got the reds and the yellows, and see, it blends into a bit of green there. Oh, I cannot wait to spin this up. But then again, I've said that about the other 2 or 3 shipments of fibre I've got, and still haven't spun them. So, anyway, so that is that one. Yeah. I think I'd actually really like to see this as a bat. I think that would be a really, really beautiful bat. The second thing that arrived by post, I took part in Camp Loopy, and I think it was my last finished object, which was my windswept. That still has not been blocked because I'm pretty sure I do need to add some more length on it. So that's sitting inside in a pile going, So I did finish it though, as per the requirements. And I got my Camp Loopy yarn. Now again, although they had the spoiler because you had to choose anyway, so you've seen this. I chose the Meadow Wildflowers colourway. This is Lorna's Laces The Soulmate. 55% superwash merino wool, 15% nylon, and 30% Outlast viscose. Now this I think will be perfect for the tropics. And I purposely chose this colour because it's colours for me, and I am going to knit myself some socks. I've decided that next year I'm hoping will be a year of the sock. This year seems to have been a year of the shawl, and I think I'm well on my way to knitting 13 shawls this year, at least. Next year I would like to knit 13 pairs of socks. Finished 13 pairs, finished 26, 24, oh I don't know, next year's 14 isn't it, 28. That's a lot of socks. I don't know if I can do that. I'll see. But this is beautiful. Now, because I am out of the country, out of the US, I had to pay for postage, and I thought if I'm paying for postage for one, I might as well get something else. So I ordered another skein of Lorna's Laces Soulmate. I got Soulmate. This is in the poppy colourway. Now this is a much more corally poppy, and I've still got this poppy here. This is the skein poppy. That's Lorna's Laces poppy. And they both remind me of poppies, but in different ways. So in some ways, you could almost say that that's worked so well on my mind what I was going to do. There we go. It's like a poppy. Here's my poppy. So I am a bit of a red fangirl, and I've been wanting some red socks. So that's definitely going to be socks. I've got a feeling this might actually be a shawl. How many yards is it? 425 yards. I'll get a nice little shawlette out of that. So looking forward to that. And the other thing that came with it, which I'm lucky my kids aren't here, was some Tootsie Rolls. I'd never had a Tootsie Roll before. And they're actually quite nice. So no doubt that's another candy that my kids are going to have on their shopping list for next June. Excuse me. And I've already suggested we have a candy swap at the Zombie Apocalypse. Only thing being, I'd have to bring along a suitcase of candy, I think. Because, sorry, I've got that now. Pardon me. There we go. I'll leave the other half until I finish the podcast. I'll probably have to take along a suitcase of candy to swap with everyone because there's so much. Anyway, that I think is everything to do with me and knitting. I'm now going to move into shop stuff. If you are not interested in shop updates, special opportunities, special events, that's okay. I won't judge you. I won't even know that you've turning off, or if you've already turned off. That's okay. So until next week, I'll say goodbye to you, and everyone else, hang around. So, as you know, the whole palooza to do with government funding. I have been under what is called New Start, which is basically unemployment benefits since last December when I lost my job. I started podcasting, hey? And I've had requirements to look for work, and there's been very little work for me to look for. And one of the things I've been wanting to do is start up the business, so I've started up the business. So I then become part of what's called the NEIS program, which is a new enterprise initiative scheme, which means I go off unemployment benefits and another government department comes in, Department of Education and Workplace Relations, Education, Employment and Workplace Relations, DY. They come in and they then fund me, equivalent of what I'd get for unemployment benefits, to run the business. Now, as part of that, I get training, and I had training 2 months ago now. I did my Cert 3 in micro business management, even though I already had a Cert 4 in small business management. I still had to do the Cert 3. Yes, a Cert 4 is higher than a Cert 3, but hey, let's not go there. It just happens, just the way it is. These are the hoops, you jump, you go through them, you get through the other side. So finally I messaged them last week and I said, hey, where are we at? The last email I got was a month ago, and I had some stuff to send down. I thought I'd sent it down. They hadn't received it, apparently. I may not have sent it down, but anyway. So I had to get some stuff signed again. So Friday, they send me an email, and they say, hey, you need to get all this to us by 12 noon Monday. And I said, okay. So I had forms to fill in. I had to get a statutory declaration about my business number. Because I'm using a business number I had before, even though I've never used it as a business number, because I've had it for 3 years, because what I was planning on doing 3 years ago never eventuated, working with a friend. I had to have that signed by JP, so I had to go to a shopping centre where they have a justice of the peace who can witness these things. You can imagine hoops. So I've been jumping, getting really good at jumping through hoops. Then I get the email. So I go along to their office here in town. No, there's no one there on the Monday. So I go along to the federal senator's office, who I know, and I say, hey, can I use your fax machine? And they laughed at me. And they said, fax machine? I said, well, I'm going to fax some stuff. And they laughed again. And then they said, yeah, sure. And I faxed everything down. Hadn't heard anything by 2:30 on Monday, so I gave them a ring in Brisbane, and I said, hey, did you get my fax? And they said, no. And I said, oh, I'm I sent it through at 10:30 this morning. They said, oh, no, but sometimes faxes don't come to us because they're really big because our fax system goes to our computer. And I'm thinking, okay. They said, can you scan it? And I said, look, I've just got a new computer. I've got a very old scanner that hasn't been plugged in for 18 months. I'll try. I was very fortunate. One of the reasons I drive a Mac is because I'm a blonde computer user. I plug in the scanner, plugged in the cord that went to my computer, press scan on the scanner because it's one of those multi-purpose things, which I don't use because the ink for it costs more than a new printer did. And it said, and thing pops up on my computer, would you like to download the scanner software? Yes, please. There we are. Wasn't able to do what I wanted to do and put all in one document. I scanned the 12 or 13 pages, sent them through. Yes, then Monday afternoon, about an hour later, she sent me back my contract and says, congratulations, your business is going to open on the 10th of October. And I thought, excellent. Apparently everything I've been doing till now has been a hobby. I haven't really been running a business. I've been doing my hobby. So next week is now the big launch of solar flare fibres, according to this government department. So I thought, that's actually something to celebrate. I will say thank you to everyone, by the way, who signed up for the club last week. This is now a bit of a diversionary. Here's my story going down the path. We're just going off this little track for a bit, okay? Thank you to everyone who signed up for the club. I think at time of recording there are 3 spots left. Now, if these spots have not gone by Thursday of next week, they're actually going to be taken down. I have had some contact from people about the club, and I'm sorry there wasn't that much notice. I did mention it in the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I know that people get behind, and that's totally understandable. And I know people have budgets and they need to plan ahead. This is going to be an ongoing thing, but it's going to be 3 months at a time. I've kept it small numbers this time, just because it's the first one. There'll be more numbers next time. So the next club, which will be sign-ups, will happen in December for January, February, March. If you're thinking about it, there will be another club coming up then. And these club colourways will be available 6 months after they're released. So yes, you won't get the extras that everyone else is getting, but at some stage you'll be able to get these colourways. So the reason I'm saying these 3 spots, I think there's 2 or 3 left. If they're not sold, I'm just going to take them down because next week in Solar Flare Fibres, we are having an opportunity. Now, you may say, what is an opportunity? An opportunity is what BMW calls a sale. I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually ride a motorbike. I have a BMW R1100 GS, and it's now, 13, 14 years old. So it's not a new model. However, the people at BMW are very proud, the BMW dealership here anyway in Cairns, are very proud of their workmanship. Every time I go in there, even if I'm dressed in daggy clothes, I'm treated like royalty, even though I'm probably never ever going to be buying a new bike or a new car from them. I had a flat tyre once, I limped up to there, here, have a seat, let's get you a glass of water, beautiful crystal glass, it was really lovely, took me home, everything. They've never been able to do enough for me. I've always been in their system, and every few months they'll send me an email that says, have we got an opportunity for you, or words to that effect. And I can remember going to the guy a couple of years ago and saying, what's this opportunity business? He goes, oh, at BMW we don't have sales, we have opportunities. Now, I'm not saying that my fibre and my yarn is going to be like BMW, it's not going to be that sort of class, but I've decided it's a nice term. So we're going to have an opportunity starting next week. And I haven't quite decided how long it's going to go for, if it's going to go for 2 weeks or 1 week or what. But it is going to coincide with the launch of my Christmas colours next week, which are going up for pre-order. I'm going to hopefully have a whole lot of other yarns going back up in the shop, and there will be an opportunity. So there's still yarn in the shop this week, and there's still those club spots. So I'd really like to see those club spots gone, because I'm definitely not including them in the opportunity. That's not fair on people who've already purchased one. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to have a couple of weeks of an opportunity. I'd say at the moment it's going to be 2 weeks, okay? It will coincide with Christmas colourways going up. Yesterday I decided 1st of October, Christmas stuff's been in the shops here for quite a while. I used to work in a department store. We put Christmas up at the end of August. And I can remember, my second year there, first year I didn't start until later on and closer to Christmas. I was starting as a Christmas casual. Second year I said, why? And they say, because if people have got a 2 or 3 month lay-by, you want to actually have the product there for them to realise in September that they're going to pay it off by the end of November and then put up their Christmas tree. And I thought, that kind of makes sense, I suppose. So, Christmas. I figure if I can launch the colourways next week, and at the moment I'm looking at having 5 or 6 different Christmas colourways. They will be mainly pre-orders, mainly because I don't want to be stuck with a stack of Christmas colourways. They are not going to be what I would class traditional, and some of them probably you wouldn't even say they were Christmassy at all, but they sort of are. So they're going to be special. They're going to be seasonal colourways that will be put away come December, or come whenever. They'll be put away, retired. So they will be around next week for you to think about. I have some new yarn on the way. I have been very, very fortunate to have some lovely support from different people, dyer friends here in Australia, and we've been able to arrange things. I have some new Australian sock yarn on its way to me, which I've heard some amazing reports about. Bendigo Woolen Mills has put out some sock yarn. Long last, and apparently it's really, really beautiful. I am hoping at the moment, they can't guarantee how much they won't tell me how much they've got. They won't tell me if they're getting any more in. I am hoping that I will be able to get enough at the moment to use for Stockinette Zombies Retreat for a colourway I'm doing for that, for myself, that I'm hoping to do, because it's Australian. But if it looks like they are going to carry on, because it seems like quite a few people seem to be liking it, then it's something that I will consider carrying more frequently. So I've got yarn coming to me, and I can't at the moment afford to keep large stockpiles of yarn, so it's very difficult, which is one of the reasons I have to do this pre-order. So the pre-order will be going up next week. At the moment, there will possibly be a 3 to 4 week turnaround on pre-order for that. The pre-orders that are in the shop at the moment, I can do usually within a week or 2. So that's just how that is. I did say the Aussie Yarning KAL started yesterday. So that Joyce from Aussie Yarning, that's another project I want to cast on, another knit along. Not a mystery though. I'm going to be doing the Martina Bem, the Miss Winkle pattern, which is the pattern of the loops. I'm probably not going to be using one of my yarns for that. I think I'm going to use an Into the World yarn that I've got there. That's probably what I'm using, I think. Anyway, that has started, and I've been seeing photos, and I said yesterday I was in a VKN, I think, and Debbie had cast on her Hitchhiker in the Funfair colourway, and as soon as I saw it, I felt like a very proud mama, because it looked beautiful, and I thought, I dyed that, and yes, I've been knitting myself with some of my yarn and thinking that's quite nice, and other people have been saying that's nice, and other people who bought it have also said that's nice. But to see photos of people knitting with it, it's really special. So I'm quite happy about that. I think that's about it. Ninja is getting very, very needy. I think possibly they were doing line marking this morning out the front, and I went and sat inside, and usually I sit out here. And oh, yes, my Bubba girl, I know. Yes, I know. And she's now getting quite, yeah. Plus, yes, okay, thank you. Oh, you got bad breath, girl. You got bad breath. So, I think that's about it. So, mysteries. It's all about the mysteries. And the mysteries are going on. So, I should have one mystery solved for next week. One mystery is a 4-week mystery. The other mystery is a 6 to 8 week mystery. So we'll see what's happening. Until next week, I'm going to say, Uru, cheers, bye.